Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another exciting episode of the Breaking Bitcoin Market Update. Hopefully, you guys are doing absolutely fantastic today, wherever you happen to be tuning in from. We've got a great show for you today. In today's episode, we're going to be breaking down what we're going to expect from Bitcoin this week, the overall state of the markets. We are going to analyze the recent FXS pump. This is the governance token of the Frax network. It has had an incredible run, jumping from $22 to $44. We're going to break down exactly why that is. Hint, it's all to do with DeFi and the new 4 pool that is available on Curve Finance. This is all going to be very beneficial, ideally for the Terra ecosystem as well as for the Frax ecosystem. So we'll be breaking that down in today's episode. We'll also be taking your chart requests. We're going to be going over support and resistance levels on the various aspects of the market and answering any questions you guys might have. Today is a fantastic day. Of course, today is the 4th of April. April Fools is behind us. Now, one thing that I think is slightly important moving forward for the traditional mindset of trading, that is tethered and tied to the stock market as it is. The idea, there is this saying in the markets, sell in May and walk away. So there has been this kind of reciprocal, cyclical, noticeable pattern of behavior in the stock market where stocks tend to decline in the month of May and generally throughout the summer. They call it the summer slump. And the reasons for this, there are many, but the common narrative is that this is the time that the market decides to take a break. Individuals want to go on vacation. It's nice in summer. The weather is beautiful. We want to go someplace warm. And if you want to go on a vacation, you have to finance that vacation some way. And you're going to probably finance that vacation by selling your stocks that have performed well, locking in profits, and then utilizing those funds to take your vacation and live life as you would. Now, of course, the idea is that anytime a pattern is noticed, it's not really a pattern anymore. There is this kind of narrative in cryptocurrency, not cryptocurrency, but there's this narrative in trading that you always have to be counter trend, that you always have to be counter to the common narrative, that there's smart money and there's dumb money. And if you're trading in the direction of dumb money, then you're not going to be very successful, I think, is the idea that's thrown out there, or you're just not going to be performing very well. Well, while it is the case that you can, look at concepts contrary to the common narrative, right? So, for example, you're the type of trader that is always attempting to call the top and always attempting to call the bottom, and maybe you're a reversal trader, and there's nothing wrong with that per se if you're profitable. But there's so much money that you can leave on the table if you just take that narrative at face value. I think a lot of traders, I think a lot of educators promote this style of education, this kind of dumb money, smart money. And we do talk about dumb money and smart money. There is, of course, dumb money and smart money. And you will see these in particularly areas of reversal in the charts. For example, when everybody who wants to buy is bought, the market turns down. When everybody who wants to sell is sold, the market turns up. So, okay, these ideas do exist, but those are more rare. Okay, those opportunity areas of the market come around less often than the most common available trade that's available to just about everybody that has eyes to see the chart and can take advantage of it. And this is trend following, where we see that the market is moving up. Price is showing us through its very behavior that it is bullish, and we take price in that direction. We trade in the direction of the herd. Because where there is lots of money piling in, there is likely to continue to be lots of money piling in, and that is the primary narrative. At least the primary methodology of my trading is trend following, although we do apply other aspects of trading as well. The goal is the same. So I just wanted to say this. While it is true, some people, I think, in attempting to sound smart and have a story, will say that, well, listen, since everybody thinks the market's going to go down in May, then it likely will not go down in May. Okay. As you guys know, I try not to predict the markets as much as possible. I trade the chart that's in front of me. And I'll just say that we have noticed this behavior in the past. So let me know what you guys think. Do you think the markets will decline in May? Do you think the stock market will decline in May? Do you think cryptocurrencies will follow along with them? I'm interested to hear your thoughts on the topic. So, with that being said, let's start off with an analysis of Bitcoin. We'll start down with a top-down analysis of Bitcoin, then we'll move on to Ethereum. We'll look at FXS, which is kind of the token of the day, and then we'll take your chart requests before we get into some live trading. So let's get to it, guys. All right, so here we are on the main scene here. We do have Bitcoin pulled up here. We're gonna zoom up here to the weekly time frame and see what we have going on. And actually, I have the wrong chart layout, so just give me a second here. Okay, now we've got Minx, we've got time transformation, we've got Wada Atar explosion. Things are good. This is IOTX though, so let's go to BTC USDT. Actually, we'll just do BTC USD here on Bitstamp, as we are wont to do for our long-term analysis. The first thing we're gonna do is just pop over to the weekly time frame. All right, so last week closed as a doji. Let's just focus on the last weekly close. Last week closed as a doji. Of course, we had talked about this before. We had talked about price moving to the upside here. On the weekly time frame, we had broken above this level of resistance that we were unable to break above previously. So we established this level of resistance here. You can see all these wicks. We just were unable to get over this level. This becomes clear if we look down at the daily chart as well. You can see all these rejections from this area right here. Rejection here, swing failure pattern here. One of my favorite patterns to trade. We've talked about swing failure patterns before. This is, of course, when the market makes a high, it pulls back, it is unable to make another high, and then it breaks support. And that is generally, classically, your signal to trade. Would have been this candle right here. When you get the candle close, that actually closes below that level of resistance. Okay, so back to the weekly here. As you can see, Bitcoin trading in this range, in this kind of double bottom pattern, or maybe a W pattern, if you prefer viewing it that way. That is a tradable pattern. So we do have this W here, double bottom, and then the breakout, right? Now, two ways to trade this, of course, is you can immediately take the breakout trade. If you would have done that on the weekly time frame, you would be in drawdown right now, because you would have bought here, and we've had a weekly close where price didn't really go anywhere. No big weekly profit targets. Of course, as you guys know, we are kind of interested in this level above 52,000 right here. I've said it before, 52,000 to 59,000. This is going to be this candle right here. This is a very large volume candle. A significant amount of volume came in on this candle, and price has a tendency to revisit pockets of liquidity, to revisit pockets of volume. So interested in that area, and it's just the likely targets. If price begins moving to the upside, 52, 59,000 are relatively safe bets, because then we don't have to assume the price is going to make a new all-time high or break a new all-time high, and we still leave the door open for basically just a retest, a larger scale swing failure pattern, and then perhaps a movement down lower, as we have been kind of preparing ourselves for, down to the $25,000 area, as we've talked about with the weekly exponential moving averages and the simple moving average. Bitcoin has not reached its historical bottom. Its historical bottom has always been the 200 weekly simple moving average, and we're just not quite there yet. So we are just now playing out the pattern of retrace to the 55, bounce, retrace to the 100, bounce, and then ultimately retrace down to the 200 simple moving average. Okay, so breaking above weekly resistance here, and now we're pulling back. I don't want to sound the alarm bells yet. A lot of people are shorting this maneuver, and that's totally fine. If you took the weekly short here, if you took the reversal trade, you are in profit. But what we want to see here, and we're going to see this when we go down to the daily, ultimately, if we are seeing a breakout, whether we want to view this as a W pattern or whether we want to view this just as a double bottom pattern, what we are seeing is an attempted breakout. And what we want to see here is we want to see a retest of this previous level of resistance. We want to see it hold as new support, and then we can kick off from there. And this is exactly what I said at the end of last week. I said if we see that pullback, we could take profits on these daily trades here, which is what I did. I took 30% more profit on my weekly position here. Price pulls back, and then what we can see is maybe a daily oversold signal or a daily crossover on our time transformation or Minx oscillators, or whatever momentum oscillator you happen to be using for a trade initiation signal here. And this is all in line with either a reversal baseline bounce, which is a pattern that we trade, or again, just the simple way of viewing this is a breakout of resistance, price pulling back to that level that it just broke, and then not being able to move down through there. Meaning, what that means in real trading terms, in market order terms, is that demand has moved up. Demand is now establishing itself as this higher price level, and supply is not able to push price back down lower. That's what we want to see for the bullish case here. So we'll see that down here on the daily when we get down to it. So overall, we do have a relatively bearish weekly close, long-legged doji. It's not necessarily bearish. A doji, especially a long-legged doji, is an indecision candle. We do see lots of situations where the market does turn around, but here's another example where Bitcoin is pushing up, puts in a long-legged doji, and then does continue to push higher for 3 more weeks. Here's a situation right here where the market is moving down. We establish a weekly long-legged doji. The market moves sideways for 3 weeks and then continues moving on in the previous direction. All right. So doji candles are just indecision candles. So it's hard to say that, okay, because of this candle, we're going to go up or we're going to go down. Clearly, all we can see right here from the chart is that the market has shown some indecision here. Buyers and sellers had equal strength at this level, and the sellers are currently winning as price is overall moving down. So again, what we want to see here on the bigger scale for the bullish case is that pullback here, retest, and then rebasing. There's a couple different ways that you can do this depending on what your trading strategy is. Either you could wait for the weekly to perhaps trade higher than this current weekly close right here, in which case you're going to be looking for price to go back above. Let's get the drawing tool off here so I can see. Looking at about this close right here, looking for prices higher than 46,864. So let's just call that 46,900. So you'd be looking for 46,900. That's a relatively good relatively good rule of thumb there. Or again, I think the better strategy here is to look for that entry at a slightly lower price when we get that oversold signal on the daily, or if we get a crossover on our momentum oscillators on the higher time frames here. We got some new subscribers coming in. Thank you, Lockie, and thank you, Mario, for the subscriptions over there. I highly appreciate it. Welcome to the community. Now, okay, so let's get that. Let's keep that in mind. Let's go back down to the daily time frame, which is the primary that we trade on. And we can see a couple interesting things here. So as you can see, I drew that box relatively sloppy. So these numbers, of course, remember that the drawings are not perfect. They're just there to show the general direction in which price is moving. Good to see you, Profit Bear. Thanks for coming to the live stream, my friend. But as we can see here, Bitcoin on the daily did put in that shooting star pattern basically here. It's not a perfect shooting star pattern, but we have price moving up. We have an inverted hammer candle. And then if price had moved down immediately, that would be a shooting star pattern. But it did trudge up for 1 more star. So technically, this should be the higher high to have a perfect shooting star pattern here. Let's zoom in on that a little bit. Hopefully this makes sense. As we can see, this candle actually has a slightly higher high than this candle. And this is the candle in which price moved down. And a shooting star pattern is characterized by the highest high and then 2 candles with lower closes. So lower closes on both sides here, and then lower closes on both sides here. Now that is a classic reversal pattern. And it's, again, the only thing that doesn't make it, quote unquote perfect is the fact this candle here has a slightly higher high. So, okay. Oops. I didn't want to remove all my drawings. I just wanted to remove this one. Okay. So price did pull back here to previous support. Okay. Previous resistance, trying to establish it as support. We did put in a decent candle, but here's the concerning thing here, guys. And we'll see here. We need to see which way price begins to move. As you can see here, we have falling volume on this pullback. Now, that is what we want to see for the bullish case. When price is moving up, we want to see volume increasing. When price pulls back in an uptrend, we want to see falling volume. That is a sign that the selling pressure is not as strong as the buying pressure that pushed price to the upside. And we haven't seen any big volume spikes to the downside. Okay. The biggest volume spike was just right here, which in this case did serve as a warning that the top of the market was relatively in, that the Pico top was in. But we haven't seen, excuse me, we need to see 2 things from here. 2 things that would help here on the daily is a bullish candle with a nice volume spike. So we want to see price begin to move back up. Okay, we want to see price begin to move back up, and we want to see volume begin to rise. Volume beginning to rise again in the direction of the trend is going to be quite bullish here, and I think we can establish more to our long positions here, or add to them, or you can actually open up Bitcoin longs if you haven't, or perhaps buy if you haven't bought already. But one thing I don't want to see is I don't want to see really price begin moving down much further if your bias is to the upside here. So I am remaining neutral here. I want to see exactly which way price goes, at least on the daily time frame. So let's pull out our indicators now to get a slightly better idea. So that's just looking at price action and overall analysis. So let's look first at our bottom feeder. Ooh, this is very interesting, actually. This is very interesting. So bottom feeder is signaling along on today's close. Now, this is not as you guys know, bottom feeder is really good at detecting longs. Okay, it's actually quite good. It's our bottom detection algorithm. Okay, so we can see it here and here and here. It's fantastic. However, I do want to point out this signal right here. So it's not quite the same. We see price moving up. We see price pulling back, a little bit of a bounce, and then pulling back. And bottom feeder does erroneously signal here. Of course, it's not perfect. This has a high success rate. We've been running this thing automated for the last 2 years. All of our premium members have access to that. But of course, no indicator is perfect. But that's very interesting. That is very interesting to notice that bottom feeder is actually firing. Hold on. To see that bottom feeder is actually firing on today. So at daily close, what this algorithm is telling us is that we should go long on Bitcoin with a profit target of 47,334 with our stop loss down here at 42,237. Very cool to see. All right, so that's bottom feeder, or 43,237, excuse me, $1,000 higher. So very interesting here. So bottom feeder is signaling a nibble at the bottom here, saying that price is oversold and that we should be expecting a bounce. Okay, do we have any other? Let's take a look at our exponential moving averages. Overall, very positive. We can see all of our moving averages are moving up. Okay, that is indicative of a bullish trend. Even our 55, this is very important here, guys. Look at our 55 exponential moving average. It's been trending down since December. Okay, and it is just now starting to curl up in a significant fashion. All right, so I would be of the mind here, now that we have actually broken and gotten some good steam off the 55, I think this becomes our new harbinger. And look how ironically that lower level of support that I drew is basically right in line with that 55. So that level is coming in around 42,856. Let's call it 43,000, a nice round number, a nice psychological round number. I would like to see price now stay above that 43,000. Okay, so while I'm going to get concerned, I might even short down to the 43, down to 43,000, down to the 55. If we can hold that level and all things remain good, barring some massive catalyst or something like that, you know, the United States banning Bitcoin or some China FUD or whatever, I think this is actually looking pretty good. I think this is starting to shape up to be an actual breakout, and we could actually start to see price bust up above our current level of resistance, which is the 200 daily simple moving average. That's a tough nut to crack. So we might need to pull back here, reestablish ourselves, firmly cement this as new support, and then come back up and try it again. It might take a couple times. The 200 SMA is a tough nut to crack, but you have to understand that once we do trade above that level, algorithms start kicking in. Money manage. I don't want to say money managers. That sounds kind of silly, but like, just things start to get a little exciting. Alvin Alberto asks, what member level is needed for indicator access? All levels of the premium trading group get access to all of the indicators. So the premium basic will give you access to all of our indicators. It will give you access as well to the private Discord where we discuss trades, where it will give you access to all of our signals and our market analysis as well. That's the premium basic. The premium, the other membership levels like the Premium Plus and the Premium Pro give you access to all of our educational content as well. And then the higher tiers give you access to one-on-one mentoring with myself. Okay. So thank you. That's a good question. Wayne wants us to check out Octopus Network, and Near's been on an absolute tear. Yeah, I'll put those on the list. So Near and Octopus, and Senior Gains a lot's talking about Solana. He says you're really good at making things sound not boring. I try my best, man. I try my best. Yeah, good to see you, Wayne. It has been a while since you've been down, brother. Alex123, we've got Murdoch the Murloc watching on YouTube. ETH1, good to see you up there, my friend. Andres Luna says, I'm looking like Mike from 90 Day Fiance. I haven't seen that. Looking like his twin. Is he handsome? I'll take it. Chris Henshaw, first in the door. Thank you, my brother. Prophet Bear, good to see you as well, my friend. Okay, yeah, and that's interesting. Murdoch the Murloc wants to talk about Solana, and Senior Gains a lot had also mentioned Solana, so we will check out Solana here in just a second. Okay, what's going on, Bitpanda? All right, so that's kind of what I'm expecting here on the daily. So far, we've just looked at price action and structure, and we've also looked at our moving averages. So I think that a couple narratives here. Obviously, we've got a little bit of toppiness here. Price is, of course, pulling back. One way to look at this is, of course, a swing failure pattern, guys. Although we really haven't had a big move up, I do like to see like a more pronounced move. Like, see this swing failure pattern right here? Where price moves up, pulls back, moves up kind of significantly, and then rejects. So yeah, so what we could use as what we could use here as a metric for a swing failure pattern in this case is going to be price moving up, price moving down, coming up, making. I like to use closes. I don't like to use these highs. So in this case, if price does trade below this close, right, or this open, excuse me. Then you could short down. I think the 55 makes a very good target here. And then you could just use these levels as invalidation. I think that's a good trade setup right there for a potential swing failure pattern or just a rejection here. So price pulling back into the range, this would be interesting too. So notice how every time Bitcoin traded up here to resistance, it got rejected. So this was the range that Bitcoin wanted to trade in, this lower range right here, and it rejected from this range. What would be good to see is if Bitcoin rejects here, this is the new range, this becomes the new range, Bitcoin's price trades in here, it gets rejected from this range, and then price breaks up. That's a potential narrative as well. All right, so that's our EMAs. Let's take a look at our trading indicators here. And let's talk about what we want to actually see here. So overall, we are above the baseline. So price is in a bullish trend. The baseline here is the Donchian 26. So it just represents the average of the last 26 days of price. And it's just the most effective backtested a baseline I've used for our pathways to profit strategy, which is a multiple indicator mechanical strategy. And I think it's the best place to start. If you are, if you're new to trading, or if you are just not having success, then if you're not making money as a trader and you're trading discretionarily, or you're looking at support and resistance like I am, or if you're using different indicators or what have you, you're going the wrong way. You need to go back to the beginning and you need to establish yourself a rules-based mechanical trading strategy. That's where all successful traders that I know start. It's how I started. It's how I still trade primarily. And it's just the best way. You remove your emotion, you remove your discretion, you make a mechanical, rules-based, if this, then that strategy, and you build it off technical indicators, because technical indicators are if this, then that, right? The lines are either moving up, they're moving down, the lines have crossed, or they're not. You're above zero, you're below zero. There's no guesswork involved. This is also going to teach you risk management. This is going to teach you how to manage indicators. This is going to teach you how to backtest. This is going to teach you how to think in terms of probabilities, and it's going to help you adopt a winning trader mindset. If you're just out here randomly looking at the RSI, reading the news, trying to catch the next pump, and you're not having the success that you need, I highly recommend you guys check out the PTP course and build yourself a mechanical strategy. That's the way to do it. Okay, so this is what I was talking about earlier when I was saying, by the way, waiting for our indicators to cross. Let's switch over so we can get some visual differences here. Okay, sorry, here we go. All right, now, as we can see here, time transformation, which is one of our primary oscillators, gave the crossover and the sell signal right on this candle. So it really nailed it, catching this pullback. We haven't really had this big dump yet. It did, of course, we did get this nice like 3.5% candle here, and then wicking down, hitting those take profit targets on the short that I did call for the group. Minx was a little bit later, which it's going to always be. Minx calling for the sell, but I like it. You know how Minx tends to actually give the sell signal on an up candle and give the buy signal on a down candle, whereas time transformation tends to be a little earlier. So it's cool. Look at Minx here, giving the sell signal on this green up candle. So even though you missed maybe selling in this range if you're just using Minx, you were able to sell here and you are in profit because we are, of course, down not too much, like 0.5%, or excuse me, 1.5%, give or take. Okay, and one more. There we go. So Minx still in overbought territory and crossing down, recovering from that right now. And the time transformation is now attempting to cross below zero right here. So there's really not much of a trade here. I think, you know, you don't take a signal by itself. Of course, there is a strategy. Sorry, I want to get off this because I need to train myself to not use that drawing tool. It's just easy. It's right there. I wish I could click it. You know, there is a strategy for a reversal system here where Minx recovers from being overbought and then crosses down. And of course, there is, of course, a signal for taking time transformation as a centered oscillator here for a short. And so if you're going to do that, if you are going to be shorting here, I would be looking at that baseline as your first target because you do want to see price pull back, ideally, seeing price pull back to the baseline and then push up. And then perhaps time transformation crossing over the signal line here, or Minx crossing back up. That's going to be your continuation signal for the long. And if we zoom back out, if we take our indicators off of here, there we go. If we take our indicators off of here, then of course what we want to see, take the baseline off. As I said, what we want to see ideally is price pull back to this level of support somewhere and then push up. However, we can go lower, right? Just because we're above the 8, the 13, the 21, just because we're above these EMAs doesn't mean that we're going to stay there. I want to point something out here that I'm just now noticing, and it's because it's colored black. So let's turn it white. I just wanted to point this out. It looks like the 100 daily EMA has actually been the actual significant level of resistance here. So as I got the white EMA right there, so we can see it rejects price here and it rejects price here and it rejects price here real well until it's broken. So that's a little bit higher than that 55. So that is coming in right here. So now that I'm seeing this actually becomes a little bit more of a logical pullback target. So if we do trade down here, so that's going to be a little higher than that 43 number that I just pointed out there a second ago. That's going to be 43,491. So perhaps we see price pull back to 43,500, hit that 100 EMA. That's going to give time, interestingly enough, that's going to give time for time transformation and Minx to reset. And then we can look for that crossover signal. So okay, so I think that's probably the most likely course of action here, guys. I think that's probably the most likely. Price pulls back into this, two things that I think are likely. Either we kick off from here, which as price continues to trade down, and once we get to the Meso timeframes, begins to look even less likely. Price trades down here to about 43.5, maybe a little lower. Maybe we wick down to the 55, and then we move up from there. I think that's the trade, guys. I think that's the trade. Let me go take. Hold on, I got to check in on my trades. Okay, cool. All right. Yeah, I think that about covers it. So we've got hitting the 200 EMA, rejection. Price tries to move back up, fails. It is currently trading down. We're losing the 8. We're about to lose the 13. We've got likely price targets down here, the 21, but more importantly, the 100 EMA coming in around 43.5. So I think downside price targets conservatively can be 43.5. You can place some bids down here at about 42.8, maybe 42.9, looking to squeeze and catch a wick. Price moving down to the 55 exponential moving average on the daily. But yeah, I mean, I'm tentatively still bullish overall. So again, going back to the weekly, what we want to see here is, you know, price broke the 55 EMA. Now, I would like to see a little bit more of a bounce here. Usually we get more of a protracted bounce here, but price pull back, bounce. But I want to, you guys got to keep in mind the bigger narrative here, the bigger narrative, right? And I've talked about this a lot. When Bitcoin's price reaches a cycle high, i.e. the highest that's going to trade for like a couple of years, it corrects down to the 55, it bounces, it corrects down to the 100, it bounces, and then it corrects down to the 100. And it happens, it's happened over and over and over again. It happened back here. It happened back here in 2019. So we reached the high for that year. We pulled back to the 55, bounced, pulled back to the 100, bounced, pulled back to the 200 during the March meltdown, and that's where we bottomed out. It happened over here when we corrected in 2017. So, oh, sorry, you guys can't see too much of that. Sorry about that. So when we went on that massive run in 2017, we reached that high, the highest we were going to trade for a couple of years. We corrected down to the 55 and bounced, corrected down to the 100 and bounced. And actually, we bounced a few times here, but then we corrected down to the 200, and that was the bottom. All right, so this is the way it works. Okay, so the bottom of Bitcoin's price. Where do you want to set your bids? Where do you want, like, where, if you want to, like, if you're in it for the long run, then you should be earning extra income so that when Bitcoin's price, if Bitcoin's price gets down to 21,000, you can go all in. That's the move. But I still think we can hit 52.59 before we get down there. We don't have to, though. We don't have to. So remember, first rule of money, the first rule of trading is don't lose money. Second rule of trading is don't forget rule number 1. So what you don't want to be doing is, talked about all that, 52.59, oh, we're looking for support, the bounce, all this. Don't be putting yourself in a position where you're going to lose a lot of money if these long trades don't play out, okay? You know, this is a conservative area of the market, right? Be conservative. Altcoins are popping right now, but use, you know, just use low risk, like conserve capital. This is not the opportune moment of opportunity. It's just not. It's not. It's not. In my humble opinion. In my humble opinion. Okay. Let's go to the 6-hour chart. 6-hour chart's looking really dumpy right now. And actually, yeah. So yeah, the 6-hour chart's really dumpy right now. Cool. Things looking pretty good over here on Bybit for me. Yeah, a lot of, yeah. So we'll just wait here. Be patient. But yeah, we can see that, we can see the swing failure pattern kind of playing out a little bit more here. Price pushes up, pulls back, and look at these wicks. This is what concerned me this morning. Look at these big wicks right here, just pushing up into the upside. Just unable to get price, right? These are, so, you know, whatever narrative you want to use, these are market makers building their short positions. This is retail traders attempting to push price up. And they just hit an absolute brick wall, dude. Just hit an absolute brick wall. So this is the brick wall. If we want to be bullish for price, like in the short term, then we need to see price back above here. Now, that's not to say that we can't get like a bounce trade down here. But on the higher time frame, on the higher scale here, if we see price break, let's draw this box right here. If we see price close below right here, about 44.5, then that's a swing failure pattern on the daily. And we can trade that a number of different ways. On the 6-hour time frame, what we typically want to do is, let's say that's our initiation level. So we want to set our stop here and shoot for a 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio. I don't think that's actually going to happen. That's a price target of about 40,000, okay, off that swing failure pattern. Another way we could do it as well is with a Fibonacci extension. So we have this move to the downside. And then we have this high. And so a 1-to-1 move from there would be 40. Actually, that's cool. 43.5. And that's right in line with that 100 EMA on the daily. Yeah. So that's, again, a lot of stuff pointing at the 43.5. So yeah, price breaks this level and take the breakdown short. Keep in mind, price is likely to pull back after we hit lows. It pulls back a little bit. So don't get freaked out. Just use proper risk management. So if your trade loses, you only lose 2, 3, 4% of your account, not 50,000, not 50% of your account. Like I said, guys, you know, I mean, look at all these people getting suckered, dude. Like, look at all these wicks, right? When Bitcoin's price is really wicky, like it's just, its price gets really fucky, man. Like you got to be careful. So yeah, this is looking pretty bearish to me. I think we're starting a little mini markdown phase in a macro markup phase, in a even more macro markdown phase. Like, does that make sense, guys? So hold on, let's, like, we're in a macro, we're in a big picture markdown phase, probably moving down to that weekly 200 simple moving average. But inside of that phase, we have now begun, we've moved out of a ranging market environment to a bit of a trending market environment. And now we're going to mark down a little bit before we continue marking back up. That makes sense? Hopefully that makes sense. Okay. So one other way this could play out, again, price is at the 55 EMA here. This is on the 6 hour. This was previous support. And we are at support again, and this would be a higher low. So I guess we could push up here and retest resistance, but these wicks looking pretty snappy to me. We'll see though. If we do that, that starts to actually look good. It just depends on if we can break the, again, as I said, if we break this level of resistance. If we break that level of resistance, I think we're just going to push up from here. But right now price is moving down, so let's see if we break this 55. If we break this 55, then we're probably going down at least to here. And that's going to trigger, as I said, that swing failure pattern setup, that break of support. And if that, so breaking this level of support, I'm probably breaking the 55 here, and not establishing a higher low, I think 43.5 for sure. Okay. Goddamn, we've been talking about Bitcoin for an hour. Okay, let's just take a brief pause here and stretch. Oh man, I hurt my shoulder this weekend skiing. Not too bad. It's just, it's, you know, that was fun. Okay. Flow says, what are my thoughts on open interest being above 13 billion? And I believe funding rates are negative. Could be wrong on the funding rates. I would be surprised if funding was negative. It depends. Let's, I want to go to, I just imported, like, oh man, I just did a PC switch and I don't know if I have all of my bookmarks. So just give me a second here. Here we go. Have I tried not falling? Yeah. Yeah, I did. I tried really hard, my brother. It is. It's not the skiing that hurts. It's the falling. Come on, man. Here we go. Going glass. All right. Sorry, let's go to the big chart. Yeah, you know, open interest has reached its highest level since December. So that's good. I mean, growing open interest is good, and the market's moving up. So open interest is rising. More people are putting on positions. The market's moving up. This is a relatively good case. Now, funding. This is okay. Cool. Checking. Let's zoom in here. I mean, funding did turn negative over at this high, but funding has since switched to be positive across almost all the exchanges. I mean, it's low, but it's not high. So a really high, typically a really high open interest when the market has been moving up for a while can indicate a top. And I mean, that's just how I interpret funding. You know, I'm not really, there's a lot of people who love it. I've talked about funding a lot. The best things I can see about funding is that when funding spikes when funding is negative and the funding rate is quite high, so a high negative percentile number. And usually you'll also see like the market be oversold, or there'll be a big red candle to the downside or something like that. Typically that's going to indicate an area that's really oversold, and the market tends to move up from there. So I have been known to buy on those signals. Now, conversely, and that's a much better indicator to me, like in general, like, and I've said this a lot, like if you just use the RSI, let's just take the most basic, simplest indicator. If you just use the RSI, if the RSI is oversold on a higher time frame, like the daily RSI oversold on Bitcoin it's not bad. The market tends to bounce a little bit. The problem that a lot of people make is that they think that that's going to be a macro bottom instead of like a pico bottom or like a meso bottom. And that, you know, price will move up for a couple of days and they won't take profit. And then that was just a bounce. And then the market moves down, continues moving down, goes past their entry. Now they're at a loss and they're like, well, I thought that was the bottom because the RSI was oversold. No, that's not how it works, man. Like you can't predict the market bottom on the daily time frame oversold. It's just not how it works, right? That's why bottom feeder has, you know, bottom feeder just grabs a trade, you know, takes price up, sells, makes profit, and then sits and then doesn't do anything. It's not, bottom feeder will never be like, this is the bottom, right? Now you can use the weekly for that. Weekly's pretty good. But in general, oversold signals are better than overbought signals because crypto just trends very high, right? When it trends bullishly, like it just goes and goes and goes and goes and goes. So you'll get oversold signals if it's been trending the first time you get a red candle, and you know you'll exit your entire position, but then the market just keeps tearing up, and that's why you want to take portions of profits, in my opinion. There's lots of different ways to deal with this, but yeah, I don't see I don't see funding being I don't see funding being negative, nor do I see funding being an outlier currently. So I don't really see anything super interesting from funding. It seems like it's positive. Individuals are still more interested in trading to the long side, but not aggressively so. So that's totally fine. Let's get back over. Sorry, I moved out of your questions. Let's see here. Senior Gains Less said, yeah, okay, Sol's breaking down now. Let's see here. Murloc the Murloc was also curious about that SLP. You mean SFP, swing failure pattern? Looks wonky. Alex81SG trying to hold the 50 weekly simple moving average right now. Mr. Ether says, I know better than to not listen to you. I should listen to you. You told me about Hex and I didn't get in on that, brother. I don't know Pulse Chain though. Dan says, am I convinced that Bitcoin will go to 22K? No, that's not the right way to think. I don't want you to think that that's not how my mind works. Like this is frustrating, but this is trading. There's nothing here that's for certain. That's not the way that the market works. Like I could see a pattern happen 9 times, right? Like I could say, okay, if nine times every year, Bitcoin, let's say this is a hypothetical, right? But let's just say that in January every year, Bitcoin went down to 20,000, and then by May of that same year traded up to like 35,000, and it did that every single year. I would trade that, right? Because I think in terms of probabilities. So I'm always looking to take the highest probability setup. So I would trade that, but I wouldn't have the mindset. You can't have the mindset that this is going to happen. You can't be convinced of anything, right? You always have to be open to change, to switch. So all I'm saying is that I have noticed this repeatable pattern in Bitcoin, that when we reach a new all-time high and we stop pushing up, we pull back to the 55, we bounce, we pull back to the 100, we bounce, and then we pull back to the 100. And if you don't think that Bitcoin's price, I mean, the idea that Bitcoin's price can go to 22,000 is completely realistic, right? Like 80 to 90% declines in Bitcoin's price action are completely normal. Last year, we fell 50% in like a month. Really 2 weeks. 2 weeks, Bitcoin's price fell almost 50%. So yeah, we can completely go to 22,000. Completely reasonable. Doesn't mean it's going to, but the most important thing I think for viewers of this channel is, for me anyways, is I want you guys, like, I'm excited too. Like, I want Bitcoin's price to go up. You know, life's easier when we're in a bull market, right? Life's just easier. Like, I'm making money, you know, everywhere. It doesn't matter what I buy. It goes up. It's great. It's fucking amazing. Okay. But you know, when we're not doing this, and we're not doing this, right? Like, we're not doing this. We are not just moving up like crazy. This is not just bull market. Everything's great. Like, we're like we moved up for a bit, then we moved down, we moved up, moved down. We go do, you know, you just have to be prepared. So I don't want people going like giga long here, because we're at support, and then getting wrecked if Bitcoin breaks down and begins this maneuver. I can't if I market by 10 billion. Rob Taylor says, how often do I play into account what the equity markets are doing when deciding to go long and short? So sometimes when I'm day trading, which I don't do too much nowadays, but when I'm day trading, I will keep an eye on the SPY and see what that's doing. Typically, if the SPY moves up, then Bitcoin will move up intraday if it's during the day. But here's the thing: you don't really have to. You know, I agree. I think that how do I put this? The chart the chart of cryptocurrencies will typically reflect, how do I put this, right? There are, of course, strategies that you can build. And again, I've tried all kinds of different things, right? Yeah, when the equities markets are moving up, typically we can expect cryptocurrencies to follow suit. When equity markets are falling, typically cryptocurrencies will move down. That's just a risk-on asset that's tethered to other risk-on assets. That's what we've noticed so far. There have been periods like who was it? I think it was Grayscale put out some really interesting research just a while ago about how Bitcoin does trade in line with the S&P 500, but it tends to do so cyclically. So it will trade really in line, like cryptocurrency markets will trade really in line with equities for like 3 to 6 months, and then they'll stop. So that's kind of interesting. But I'm not, and I'm not really putting that into my analysis or the way that I trade. But yeah, I guess okay, I'll give you the real answer. The real answer is I really don't. I don't really look at stocks too much. You know, I do. So with stocks, like I'm kind of boring now with stocks. I don't try to pick winners and losers anymore. I just buy VTI and VOO. There's a few other stocks that I throw money into. Like I still have my dividend portfolio that I continue to add to every month on Money Monday. Yeah, I don't know. Cryptos is where it's at for me. Because if the equity markets fall, then crypto markets are going to fall, and the analysis is still the same, right? In fact, I would angle to bet that the cryptocurrency markets are going to move more and faster in response, because they're very sensitive. Cryptocurrency markets are very sensitive to equities. So if they're like watching the equities market is not as vital to me as watching just the cryptocurrency markets, because I'm going to see the moves happening. And if something falls in line with my strategy, then I'm going to take the trade. It's just, there's nothing wrong with like monitoring the charts. It just seems like a lot of work. But that's a good point, Rob Taylor. I think, thank you for bringing that up. It's rare for crypto to have a down day if the S&P is up a lot, for example, regardless of overbought signals from my experience. Oh, okay. That's a good point. Yeah. Actually, that's interesting. Maybe I could incorporate that into the indicator. Yeah, in 2020 we fell 50% in 2 hours. Yeah, that was the March meltdown, the BitMEX March meltdown. Jordan Stotts, good to see you. Mr. Ether's hedging at the 133 MA daily. Yeah, they're highly correlated most of the time. Yeah, I agree. For now, DeFi is a different animal. DeFi doesn't give a fuck what's going on. Okay, I want to talk about Frax Finance. So for those of you guys who don't know, Frax Finance has a algorithmic stablecoin called Frax. And it's very widely used in the DeFi ecosystem. And Frax has a governance token, FXS, and it's up quite a bit because the Terra developers have introduced the 4-pool liquidity pool on Curve Finance. For those of you guys who don't know, Curve Finance is the largest decentralized. So hold on, let's go back. Curve Finance has over $21 billion in total value locked. It is the largest DeFi application out there. You know, as far as total value locked in a specific decentralized application. It is a stablecoin decentralized exchange and farming pool. So it's Uniswap for stablecoins. Okay, it's Uniswap for stablecoins plus farming and staking. And it's an incredible success story. Curve Finance is fantastic. Now, overall, I think that its yields are not super attractive to retail investors. There are some pools on there where you can like earn maybe like 8, 9, 10%. But overall, generally on Curve Finance, you're going to be earning about 4%. And then the nice thing about, like, there are other things that you can do. For example, you can take your Curve tokens, you can lock them up, you can go deal with Convex. There's all different kinds of ways to make money in the Curve ecosystem. But I will say this, if you are swapping, if you're not on a centralized exchange and you want to swap from stablecoin to stablecoin, Curve Finance is definitely where you want to go. It has the lowest slippage, the highest liquidity. And it's just a fantastic protocol. It's cross-chain now. It's on Phantom. It's on Avalanche. It's on Ethereum. It's all over the place. But recently, we have this new 4-pool liquidity pool on stable swap service Curve Finance. And that consists of Frax, UST, USDT, and USDC. So you could stake those, you can provide liquidity for those 4 stablecoin pairs and earn yield. So pretty cool. And in announcement of this, Frax FXS surged from $22 to $44 as far as yesterday. It has dropped. Let's actually check in on FXS now. So you can trade FXS on Binance, Gemini, Kraken. You can trade the perpetuals over here on Bybit. So this is what we're going to be looking at here. But let's look at the chart on Binance. So here on the weekly, what do we have? Since it's listing on Binance, we can see that we established a level of resistance right here. Let's turn off magnet mode because that's really getting in my way here. we established this level of resistance right here, which is essentially right where price traded to again on this announcement. Look at this massive amount of volume coming right here. I think we can have continuation from this. We've got a nice kind of macro bottom established down here. We've got this nice macro resistance established right here. So let's go down to the daily and kind of break this down a little bit more here on Binance. Okay. Yeah, so very low volume node. Price does not like to be right here. Let's look at our EMAs here. Let's see here. They're not being super helpful. We just don't have a lot of price activity established. So things like the 100 are not doing super well. Again, we do see, again, the 100 daily EMA or the 55, excuse me. The 55 doing its best to help out here. We can see it acting as resistance here, and then we broke above and went to the races. Yeah, I love that, man. Just look at that big, huge volume on that candle. And we haven't really seen enough volume to the downside. So price is pulling back pretty significantly. We're now trading at 33,938. So I want to watch FXS pretty closely over the next few days and see how low we can get and see if we can get another push to break above this level of resistance. So I would not like to see price come all the way back down here. Let's do something a little different here. Let's throw on. Let's throw on our fibs here and see what would be a 618 retracement. So let's see if this works. Let's see if price will pull back here to the golden pocket, which is going to be around $30. So potentially another 12% decline in FXS price here as traders take profit off of this huge move. And then let's see if we can get a long position coming off of $30 back up here to resistance. And what we're going to be looking for is either, in my opinion, we're either going to be looking for a swing failure pattern. So where price does not make another high, where price bounces here, moves up, stalls out right about here. And then I'll probably short the first red candle and look to take price down because that shows me that the movement's failed. Or if we break resistance pretty significantly up here, then we'll probably add to our position if we get an FXS breakout here. So I think that's the game plan for FXS. I'm going to be posting this one as a trade setup for the premium guys here in a little bit. And for now, let's just get that on my red watch list so I can continue to check in with FXS. Have I talked about Russia making a ruble backed by gold? I have not. Sorry. Sometimes I'm sorry, I'm a really analytical guy. Sometimes I think way too much. No, I haven't talked about that yet, brother. Peckham08 says, do we have a dip on the go? I sold Solana at 127 on Saturday. I could buy a dip. We could always buy a dip, man. Does Frax have admin keys? I'm not sure what you mean by that. No. Frax is a algorithmic stablecoin. So the way it works is, I'm pretty sure. So, okay. I know exactly how Terra Luna works. I'm pretty sure it works like Luna, where it doesn't work like Tomb and it doesn't work like Ohm Finance. I think it works like Luna, where if the price of Frax goes below, $1, they print, maybe it's FXS, could be FXS, their governance token. That doesn't seem right. I'm not sure. Let's find out. How does Frax work? Oh. Okay, so it's a hybrid. It is a hybrid algorithmic stablecoin. All right. So Frax, so unlike USDC or USDT, where they are pegged to $1 based on reserves. Oh, have they renounced ownership? I see what you're saying, bro. I'm not sure. Okay, so the present market worth of Frax determines the ratio of Frax collateral to the algorithm. If Frax is above $1, the collateral ratio decreases so as to add mint. I think they fucked that up. Subsequently, the value of Frax. Yeah. Okay, so it works in two ways. So it has your regular algorithmic stablecoin method, which means that as the value, if Frax goes above the peg of $1, okay, they print more Frax so that there's more supply, so that lowers the value of each individual Frax, trying to get the price down below $1. But in addition to that, they also have collateralized, they also have collateral. So I believe, I don't know if it's FXS or other stable coins. It says here that Frax is pegged to the value of two different stable coins and not to USD. It's backed by USDC. Okay, so they have USDC in reserve. So if price goes below $1, the collateralization ratio, or the amount of USDC that they have locked up, increases, and you can redeem Frax for that USDC. That removes Frax from circulation and increases the value of each individual Frax. Yeah, I know. It's bad. Ooh, CoinMarketCap news. Here we go. Yeah, it's Señorage. It's backed in part by USDC and also in part by its FXS governance token. Cool. Yeah. So essentially it works just like Luna. It works just like UST with Luna. You burn Luna to mint UST, and if UST goes above the peg, they incentivize you to burn your UST to earn more Luna, and if price goes below the peg, they incentivize you to burn your Luna to print more UST. That's how it works. Señorage. Holding everything. Alex81SG says, seeing what happened to USDN and others, I'm getting more and more skeptical about these algo stables every day. UST will die as well, in my opinion, especially now that Bitcoin is in the picture. Next time Bitcoin takes a serious dump in a day or something, chances are UST will lose the peg too. Well, the thing about that is that UST, it's not that, so Bitcoin has nothing to do with UST's peg. In fact, the idea is that they bought, so the Luna Labs, they bought, or Terra, sorry, they bought $1 billion worth of Bitcoin to add to their reserves. So they're going to use that Bitcoin to, if price were to fall significantly, right? So if UST were to fall significantly below its peg, they'll use that Bitcoin to push the peg back up. It's not that they didn't introduce Bitcoin into the algorithmic system. They just bought a bunch of Bitcoin basically to have a reserve, a reserve treasury. Hey, Dave Rice. Good to see you, my friend. Okay. So just so we're clear here, FXS is not Frax. This is not, we're not trading stablecoins here. Okay. This is the governance token. Okay. Which now has increased utility and use case due to the massive demand on for the 4-pool exchange. So going back to this article, so 4-pool is the new pool on Curve Finance. It's composed of 2 decentralized stablecoins, UST and Frax, and USDC and USDT. Okay. So one thing here is that now, so there's a couple things here. So one is that this is hand in hand with right here. This 4-pool is aiming to increase the utility of Terra's UST stablecoin through a partnership with Frax and Redacted Cartel. All right, Redacted Cartel is a tool that you can use to earn yields on locked tokens, right? Just like kind of convex for Curve. So the fact that Frax Finance is partnering with Terra here, and Terra has done so amazingly well, is one of the reasons so many traders were interested in buying FXS. Because if Frax is already huge in the DeFi ecosystem, but if Frax is going to continue to gain traction here, then holding FXS, which gives you access to vote on governance for FXS, for Frax, is very important, right? So that's increased utility of the token, okay? Its underlying stablecoin is going to increase in popularity. And if it increases in popularity and more traders are using it and holding it, then having the governance token becomes important. If the governance token also allows you to perhaps vote on other proposals as well, that becomes important as well. So this is one of the reasons why the price has moved up, and one of the reasons why the price can continue to move up. And the more exposure that Frax gets in large pools like Curve Finance, then that's very, very good for the price. So going down to the 6-hour time frame, let's actually do a little technical analysis here, boys. All right, so we did get the time transformation sell signal after a significant amount of unnatural volume here. So sell signal, price has reset back down to the 0 line here. Again, you guys can see this level that I talked about. Right here's that 618, that golden pocket retracement. Let's see if we can get price moving down there. Very wicky, indicating a top right here. As you look, this is kind of cool. So look, when we got these previous sell signals, we did, of course, get this inverted kind of shooting star pattern, but then price just broke right back above. So this is what I said. When price is in a strong uptrend, you want to be wary of overbought signals because price can just continue to trend. It doesn't necessarily mean that price is dead. Okay. What really helps is if you look at the structure here, you can see all these wicks, right? Just completely unable to really move higher, and then price pulls back. So, but here's the thing: falling volume on a retracement is good to see. So I think if you long here, you're going to be a little earlier. I think you want to wait for the pullback here to $30. Do we have any kind of entry for? Yeah, let's see. So down here on the 45-minute time frame, we do have some regular bullish divergence here. Okay, and we do have that coupled with a buy signal. Now, price didn't really go anywhere off that buy signal. It just pulled back down here to support. So it's possible that down here on like the 15, we're going to see a double bottom pattern play out, or a W pattern. Okay, so be watching for price to bid back up here to about 35.50. Then, you know, you degens can kind of look for that intraday long here. And I think, like I said, break a support here. Coming back out here to the hourly. Break a support there. Then we're looking at $30 here for Frax, for FXS, excuse me. Yeah, just not a lot of volume. Yeah, we want to see a nice volume spike in the direction to the upside here, and I'm just not seeing it. I'm just seeing a pretty weak reaction off of support. And the fact that Bitcoin is kind of dumping here, I mean, we're not dumping hard, but yeah. So you guys can trade FXS on Bybit. They do have a USDT perpetual contract, so you do not have to hold FXS. You do not have to buy FXS. You just have to have USDT in a Bybit account. You guys can use the link in the description if you guys are not already over there. It does help out the channel. Very honest about our self-promotion. So I'm looking at FXS USDT on Bybit right now. I'm actually want to get over. I don't want to analyze there though, because there's not a lot of it just launched. Like it's like 4 hours old. I'm sorry, it is 12 hours old. Less than 12 hours old, because the current 4-hour bar is open here. I mean, listen, you can punt the long here. I don't think you really want to do anything though, honestly. Right now. Kind of wait for this consolidation to play out and then trade the break. So again, I think $30 sounds very reasonable for Frax here. A rejection from this range, maybe a trade down to $30. Yeah, we're just gonna do it. We'll just say 30, 25. How's that? All right, so if that's our take profit, I don't really like that. Oh, yeah, we're good. Set a ridiculously high stop loss. Like $45. There we go. Okay. Listen, guys, I just opened up a little starter position here on FXS. $1,000. I put my stop loss at $45. Okay. Like, I'm not fucking around with the volatility. I think we're gonna hit $30. I got my stop loss way up here. If I go to sleep tonight and price just rears up, I'll lose $300. I don't care. But I'm not setting tight stop losses on something that's this volatile. You don't want to do that. So if price moves in our favor here, I'll actually take a normal position here, maybe like 20,000, and look for this breakdown to 30. But yeah, that's my thoughts on that. I guess that might have been me. Well, this is Binance. Sorry. I'm not trading on Binance. I'm trading on Bybit. So. Let's go back over here. $100x along that bastard. Alex81SG says, have you been looking at the whole MMF, SV, and MMO METF pool of tokens on Cronos? No, you know, I like to do what I do well, and I'm not really into the Cronos chain. I am trying to get more experience right now on the Cosmos ecosystem, so I have been doing a lot of studying on Atom, Osmo, Juno, things of that nature. So you want to build your experience and specialize, I think, to do well to begin with. But no, I'm not familiar with that particular pool of tokens. One, you know, you do have a good point there. In this market, man, like liquidity rotates, right? Like the money rotates, and you got to kind of find, if you're trading DeFi, you got to move on to the next thing. Okay. We're going to take a look at these chart requests here for Near, Octopus, and Solana. And then that's going to do it, guys. All right, so obviously Near has been on a really nice movement here. Weekly time frame, let's start off on the weekly. We've got a nice weekly uptrend. We're above all our exponential moving averages here. The 55 is pointed up. The 8, the 13, the 21 are all pointed up, so life is relatively good. We have been making higher highs. We are currently moving up. We have been making higher lows. So no break in market structure so far. We've got this just nice prices moving up. So Near doesn't look too terrible in that sense. The only thing that concerns me here is a potential swing failure pattern right here. So let me just mark this out here. I wish they gave me a better option to do this. Okay. Oh, how do I stop? I got to do multiples. How do I make it stop? There's got to be a way. Maybe I should experiment with the tool first. Oh, okay. Figured it out. All right, so swing failure pattern, potentially like this. Okay. Swing failure pattern is obviously, we literally talk about this all the time, where the market makes a high, market makes a low, and then it fails to make another high, and typically your trigger is right here. Although if we're on the daily, we could also take a reversal signal right here, would be an okay way to trade this. And typically, I like to be a little conservative, so we're just going to use, again, we're going to use our trend-based fib extension here with magnet mode on. So we're going to measure from the top of this movement down and then back up to this high. And then if we get a 1-to-1, we'd be looking at that. Okay. And if we just got a 50% movement, we would be looking at right here. So I think those are pretty good targets here. Yeah. Excuse me. And Quadrigo may agree with that. Yeah, Quadrigo pretty much completely agrees with those take profit targets. All right. So Near protocol is really cool. I like Near. In just one moment, guys. Okay, sorry about that. What were we talking about here? Near protocol. Listen, guys, I'm going to switch it up here. Hold on. Let's just put... I'm not sure if that was Elon Musk or not. I can neither confirm nor deny that. Okay, so we'll just do we'll do the near analysis in this voice, unless it really pisses everybody off. But here's what we're looking at, guys. Swing failure pattern, potential price target down here. I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that to you guys for too long. I literally thought I had a new ringtone, then wow. Team Android, baby. The other thing that we want to look at in conjunction with the kind of price action here is this falling volume, right? So you see how volume's been steadily rising here. Now the volume moving average is starting to move down, and we can also see that in the volume. So on this push to the upside, there was less volume. So that's something you also want to look at for when you're trying to determine whether something is a swing failure pattern or not. Does this second leg up have less oomph? And this second leg up does seem like it has less oomph, right? Now we do have some pretty good support down here, okay? And we have our currently established resistance right up here. But on the weekly time frame, this is starting to look a little toppy. We've got this tightening distribution range. However, we are in a macro uptrend, so overall things are good. But I think we can expect to see a retracement here if this weekly close plays out here. Let's go down to the daily and actually kind of look for somewhat of an initiation signal here and just see. What I want to do is no, this is fine. We'll leave it just like that. So on the daily time frame, we are actually getting our first daily sell signal. Minx has not yet crossed over, so maybe we wait for Minx to give us a sell signal here. But yeah, time transformation is giving us a sell signal here, and just off the daily targets, we're looking at 1456, 1305, and 1154 if price reverses here. Now, if that were to happen, yeah, that 1106 is like our second target right here. So on the weekly. So let's watch for the daily to play out here, see if we get a little bit of follow through on that daily. But near might actually be toppy right now. So that's my thoughts on near. And a quick look at Octopus and Solana. OCT. Let's look at on Gate.io here. Not a lot of data here on the weekly buy signal, just coming off of a weekly buy signal right here. Excuse me. So what I see here, yeah, what I kind of see here is Octopus having a nice big push to the upside, and then perhaps beginning its decline. We're not making higher highs anymore. This is a higher low. Yeah, this is kind of an iffy chart. I don't have too much of an opinion on this one. Let's see here. The daily does look pretty good. We do have rising volume right here. This is a pretty big red candle. So a pullback here is likely. And of course, this just makes sense. Look, we have previous support, turn resistance right here. And we're attempting to really break it for the first time here. So if price pulls back here and then pushes up, I think this would be good. Let's actually see what, if you were following the trading strategy, how this would have done. So we get a long signal right here on this candle. This is a trending long signal. We take a little bit of profit here, and we're taking a little bit of profit here. So PTP would have you hold this position as long as price is above 220. So pull back here to 220 is totally fine. Close below 220, you'd exit and wait for the trend to reemerge. But yeah, this is starting to look just a little bit pullbacky here. So maybe pull back to 220 here is what's going to happen on Octopus Network, and then continuation. And then finally, Solana. Yeah, so kind of similar. Let's big picture on Solana here. Solana's had declining volume on this move into the downside. Couple weekly buy signals right here. And we are trying to push up. I don't want to call a lower high yet here on Solana. This doesn't look. I think Solana could continue to push to the upside here. This doesn't look too terrible to me. Yeah, we'll see how much leg this weekly buy signal has. Let's see how the week plays out here on Solana. The daily is looking a little toppy. So we've been in this choppy range, push up just like Bitcoin. And now, again, PTP, just the system that I use. This is my mechanical system. So long here and taking profits 2 days ago and then today, taking some profits. So PTP wants us to stay above 112.61. Close below that, then we'd exit the trade and look for the trend to reemerge. But yeah, this is okay. Hold the long position until we close below 112.61, but take some profits today. All right, guys, and that's about all we've got time for today. Thank you guys so much for joining me for another exciting episode of the Breaking Bitcoin Market Update. If you are new here, and if you enjoy the content, then make sure to subscribe and hit the like button. It's highly appreciated if you're watching us on YouTube. If you are over there on DLive or Twitch, give us a follow and a subscription if you'd like to support the channel. And if you're following us on Twitter or Facebook, a heart, a thumbs up, or retweeting or sharing this post or video thread would be highly appreciated. We are attempting to grow all the time. If you would like to improve your skills as a trader and learn how to build a mechanical, rules-based strategy, then make sure to check out everything that we have to offer with our Pathways to Profit course. I've designed it so that if you're a beginner trader and you are having not the results that you want, you need to go back to basics. You need to learn risk management. You need to learn position sizing. You need to learn how to build a mechanical if this, then that strategy. And this course walks you through how to do that step by step. That's included with a subscription to the Premium Trading Group, which also gives you access to our private Discord, our live trade signals, as well as all of our proprietary indicators like I'm using on screen to help you make better trading and investment decisions. Hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. Beautiful Monday, beautiful start to the week. Rewatch the video if you like. Later on, there will be timestamps so you guys can see exactly where we were with everything, what we're expecting from the market. And we will be back tomorrow at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, 1 p.m. on the Eastern Seaboard for another episode of the Breaking Bitcoin Market Update. I'll see you all in the Discord. Trade safely.